the Gran Canaria Pozo PWA Freestyle Grand Slam 2002. The legendary windsurfing town of Pozo Izquierdo hosts this Freestyle Grand Slam event yet again, making it one of the most respected on the tour. Without doubt, this is one of the most coveted titles of the season.
Pozo's got to be one of the most extreme competitions on the World Tour. It's the most prestigious event to win for sure. It's a Grand Slam. We have the most extreme winds. I mean, it can blow up to 50, 60 knots sometimes here with some extreme waves as well. All the sailors come here from around the world knowing that if you can win this one, you've pretty much set yourself up for the rest of the year for the competitions. We come from some of the lakes of flat water, the very light conditions, where some of the lighter guys and lake sailors, if you like, do very, very well. We come over to Pozo with very extreme winds, some very rough seas, and it all sort of opens up a little bit to another group of sailors to come out and show their worth in extreme conditions rather than sort of flat water lake conditions.
The Canary Islands lie only 60 kilometres off the west coast of Africa and benefit from reliable trade winds and warm ocean currents. Put this with Gran Canaria's 236 kilometres of coastline and you have the recipe for a world-class windsurfing location. The PWA World Tour hunts down windy locations all over the globe, visiting some of the planet's most exotic and surprising locations. Gran Canaria has bred an extraordinary amount of world-class windsurfers, and all World Tour pro sailors inevitably spend a lot of time on this sun-soaked volcanic island over the course of their careers. The historic villages, relaxed Spanish culture, and fascinating mixture of old and new have proved too tempting for many. Towns like Pozo have become a permanent base for many high-wind boardheads. Pozo Izquierdo is a unique place to sail, and those who win here have had to condition themselves ready for the challenge. It can be frightening for the uninitiated and sobering for the seasoned pros.
For us guys coming from Maui, it's always a kind of a shock. You know, you get here and you're used to, wind coming the other direction, perfect, beautiful waves, and you get here, it's just wind blown, wind swept, there's water flying, you're always hiding beneath rocks trying to get away from it, and then you're jumping the wrong way and stuff. So for us guys, it's always a huge challenge, but we enjoy it every time just because of that.
With the wind pumping as usual, a meeting is held for competitors ready for the start of the opening rounds in the freestyle discipline. Each heat is watched by a panel of 6 judges who score the 4 competitors. Freestyle is constantly evolving, and the rulebook gets rewritten at each event as someone pulls off a new move.
What we're basically looking for when we're judging a heat is variety. In freestyle, you got some guys that are good at one thing. Like one guy might be able to go out and do perfect clue first spots all the time, but if he can't do anything else, that's no good. So what we like to see in a heat is a good bit of variety, guys that mix up some old school stuff with all the new school stunts. Ideally, you have a guy who can do all the new school stuff and just rips. Someone like Ricardo Campello is a guy that just only does new school stuff. But then you got other guys like Matt Pritchard who can do the new school and the old school stuff, which still scores really highly.
Freestyle windsurfing is an extreme sport. If you get the moves right, you're on top of the world. If it goes wrong, it can be painful and damaging. Ibaya Moreno, ranked 2nd in the world and a local star, landed badly while practicing a loop minutes before the start, breaking multiple bones in her left foot, effectively ending her season before it even starts. After the opening rounds of competition, 4 sailors are left from 64 starters. In the semi-final, Remco de Weerd takes on Victor Fernandez, and young Ricardo Campello faces the experience of Nick Baker. Fernandez opens the scoring with a clean forward loop. That's followed by a tabletop forward. Remco goes for a shove it, but fails to land it. At the same time, Venezuela's Ricardo Campello body drags. Baker goes for a tabletop forward, but he gets a wet landing. Hunting for ramps, he goes for the same move again to complete this first semi-final of the event. In In a women's competition, an on-form Daida Moreno is up against Swiss veteran Karin Yagi, and defending world champion Colette Guadagnino faces Anne-Marie Reichmann. In women's freestyle, we're seeing many of the same moves as the men. Colette Guadagnino forward loops with a shove-it from Karin Yagi behind her. Daida's jumping whilst keeping an eye on Yagi's moves. Anne-Marie pulls a forward loop cleanly and seems to have taken the lead, now pulling off a flat forward loop. Daida finishes her heat with this neat spot, and despite concerns that she has for her sister's injury, goes through to the final.
I guess it was like an hour before our heat, and she was warming up. It was really windy. We were sailing on 3-4. She went for a huge high tabletop, and she landed really flat, and she broke 3 of her bones on the toes and the left foot. Right now it's really tough for her to just believe that she's here at the hometown without being able to compete, and it's tough for me too, just to think that my sister she's not able to compete. She just has to think that it's something that happens in this kind of sports and in other kind of sports as well, radical sports, and it's just a normal thing.
So Daida is clearly focused on victory in this competition, but first will have to beat her friend Anne-Marie Reichmann in the first final. Daida begins her challenge with a tabletop and starts racking up the points. This huge forward loop is beautifully executed for a good score. But Anne-Marie is sailing confidently and scores good points here with a donkey kick. Right at the end of the heat though, Daida spots perfectly, giving her an unbeatable lead after round 1. In the men's first round final, Britain's Nick Baker is a formidable opponent for Remco de Weerd from Holland. Nick opens his account with a smooth 360 roundhouse, but in these awesome conditions, Remco pulls off what is now his signature move, a massive shove-it. Nick replies with a huge stalled forward loop, landing cleanly under the watchful eye of his MPG teammates. Remco shows his versatility with this spot 540, and despite superb moves from Nick, like this massive tabletop forward, Remco takes victory in the first round.
During the heat I saw Nick flying really high up in the sky, and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to compensate to this? Because I can do one forward and then shove it, and that's it. And luckily, like, the slides worked out really good. Like, I did the planing spark and a little shove it, and yeah, that was pretty good.
It was the shove-it that won Remco the heat. So what goes into perfecting a big move like that?
I think 2 years ago I started trying some shove-its, and in the beginning it didn't work out at all, and I was really upset because I saw other guys that were flying around me, and I was like, how are those guys doing it actually? My biggest problem in the beginning was I was just thinking of it as a jump. Every time I was looking a little bit upwind for a wave, carve into the wind like backside wave ride, but at the moment I hit the wave I always would jump, and first in the air I would push down on the sail. What happens then, as soon as you get airborne, the board starts spinning and you make more of a Vulcan. So what I figured out later is that if you just go fast, a little bit downwind, gain a lot of speed, you go just a little bit upwind, start pushing down on the sail already really early, and that gives you the pop up to make a shove it. The one I tried in the final was pretty okay, maybe a little bit too tweaked to have a really clean landing, but it was still there.
The Pozo skyline is dominated by majestic windmills, relentlessly rotating in the constant trade winds. Windsurfers know a lot about wind, but there's always more to know. And where better to learn than the Canary Islands Technological Institute, where the technical director offers to broaden the minds of their annual visitors.
Pozo Izquierdo is unique because we have a very high solar radiation potential, we have very good wind speed conditions, and we have here seawater which we can desalinate to produce drinking water. So in this sense, our activities here, which are focused on making use of this available wind and solar conditions, can be performed on a very good way. Inside the domes we have prototypes for drinking water production by desalinating seawater. We have our ice production machines, our freeze chambers, everything driven by solar and wind energy.
We're using the wind, man. It's for windsurfing, everything.
Not only for windsurfing.
Yeah, I know. Oh, thank you.
The Gran Canaria Pozo PWA Freestyle Grand Slam. After intense action, the men's second series semi-finals sees a showdown between the young guns and the vets. World champion Antoine Albo faces Jonas Ceballos, and Matt Pritchard takes on the new kid from Brazil, Conan Lang. A shove-it from Matt Pritchard gets the heat moving, followed by Conan Lang with a new school clue first spot. Meanwhile, Antoine pulls off this difficult aerial duck jibe, and Jonas answers with a rail grab, but it's Antoine and Matt who advance to the final. The women's second semi-final is a repeat of the first. These four women really on top of their game. Dida starts with another perfectly executed forward loop, and now impresses the judges with this clue first spot 540. Dida's looking unstoppable and moves through to the final together with Colette Guadagnino, who is also looking in top form. Freestyle's all about invention and innovation. At each event a new move comes out that wows the judges and makes the crowd go wild. Other sailors perfect it, and a standard freestyle move is born.
The first time I made a spot was really trippy. It was a complete accident. It was, I would say, about 4 years ago right here in Pozo. It was a total trip because I remember I was just trying to learn the Vulcan, which is the kind of the air jibe, you know, and I was doing them, and all of a sudden I did one really fast. I was really powered, like on 3.7. I did one really fast. I was just sliding, and all of a sudden, flip, the thing just flipped around. Total accident. I was like, what? Oh my God, I can't believe it. So it's just total kind of fluke move, but actually that's pretty much how all the moves are made. The main thing is to remember it's just the next step up from the air jibe, right? So you have to imagine it takes a lot of speed in order to keep the board sliding, keep the tail from dipping down. So you're going really fast, planning the wind's coming this direction. You're going full speed, full speed, full speed. You go into the air jibe and you're still in the straps. That's the most significant part. You flip around 180 and you put your hand on the sail, you grab the mast and you push with the backhand on the sail. What? And the sail flips around 360 and you come around, then you grab the boom on the other side and boom, you're going back the same direction. You pull it off, you'll be freestyle man, dude. You'll be on the road.
With those words of wisdom from the master at our minds, we're back to the beach for the second women's final. An on-form local star, Daida Moreno, faces Colette Guadagnino with her world title to defend. Into action, Colette is sailing strongly and looking for a ramp, just not quite enough height on this forward loop to land 100% cleanly. Daida goes for a spock and would usually plane through this move in conditions as good as this. A body drag from Colette, which always scores points. And then she's up to speed going into a one-handed forward, but can't stick the landing. Now a clean forward loop from Daida in the last seconds of the final, and maybe she's done enough again. Over the years, Antoine Albo has gone against Matt Pritchard many times in competition, and this second final of the event is sure to be another one to remember. As the horn signals the start, Antoine selects a ramp and goes for a sweet forward loop. Matt watches Antoine like a hawk and lands this clean push loop. Both these sailors need strong winds to keep them powered up through these freestyle moves, and conditions are perfect. Antoine goes for a one-footed jump, while Matt gains loads of speed through this forward loop and goes into a willy skipper. He'll be disappointed to have gone down right now. Matt's giving it his all, attempts a cheese roll out of this shove-it, but can't land it. Antoine is sailing powerfully, adding this tail grab to his score sheet. It's going to be close, and both have sailed well through to the final. Matt now with this wave-riding backside aerial, and in the dying moments he's still fired up and stays on the plane through this spot 540 and jibes out. Some tense minutes pass as the score sheets are added, but it's once again Daida Moreno who takes a popular local victory.
felt comfortable and I tried my best. I was a little bit nervous against Karen and also against Colette, but I think I pulled it off really nice, so I was lucky again.
The winner is Antoine Albo.
And Antoine takes the men's second final.
We were pushing to win, both of us, so I think we had a good maneuver and radical maneuver during the final, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Antoine is conspicuously large and young Ricardo Campello is built like a stick, yet both are top freestylers. So which type of body's best?
I think it's better to be small. The smaller guy has more movability and agility. You're not so big, Antoine. You can do the moves easier than the bigger guys.
Yeah, being big here in Pozo, it's good because I'm really strong in the wind and I can handle big sail and I can be in the water all day also.
They're saying that we, the small guys, get hurt, but I think it's the other way around because when a big guy falls in a bad position, they're heavier, so they can get hurt easier than we do. And we don't fall as they do.
I don't train, my dad gives me everything, you know.
Ricardo now has to test his theory in the ultimate freestyle test with a semi-final against big guy Matt Pritchard, while Jonas Sabalios takes on Frenchman Jan Soon. On the same wave, a push loop from Ricardo and a back loop from Jonas. That sets the standard for the crowds. Keeping the pressure on, another push loop from Ricardo and a massive shove it from Matt. This is going to be a tough heat to judge. Ricardo forward loops on the way in, and there's another awesome back loop from Jonas, getting heights that only he seems able to achieve. It's a tough call, but the kids have it. Jonas and Ricardo go through to meet in the final. The third women's semi-final sees the usual suspects there again, but the question is, can anyone stop Dida? At this point in the event, Dida is in a commanding position for the title with 2 victories. But it's not over yet. Anne-Marie Reichmann scores with a good forward loop. Dida's looking strong again though, with this wave ride rounded off with a 360. As the waves build, Dida back loops while Colette forward loops. Great action from the women. Karen Yagi makes her mark with a shove it at high speed, followed by a textbook forward loop. Colette finds clean air with a cool forward to close the heat out. And now the wait to see the results is on. The women are fired up and ready for the third single elimination final of the event. Karen starts with a nice shove it to open her account, but Dida makes her forward loops look easy. Karen keeps the pressure on with her own forward. Now Dida slips out of her foot straps on this forward and she crashes out. Karen looks for a ramp and slightly over-rotates her loop, splashing the landing. Dida knows she has to do something special and she goes massive with a double forward. It could have been the move of the event, but she just misses the landing. And a smile from Karen tells us she knows she's had a great final this time, and we await the result. The third men's final is eagerly anticipated in classic Pozo conditions. 2 of the PWA's most dynamic young sailors face each other. Jonas Sabalios has a taste for waves, but they could just suit Campello's more refined style. Ricardo starts with a flat water planing forward, and Jonas immediately shows us the depth of his ability with this perfect clue first spot. Campello takes the fight into the air, pulling a massive push loop. The tricks just keep coming as Campello executes this super fluid one-handed spot. Jonas with a brilliant push loop and manages to plane away. A top score with the judges. A one-handed forward from Ricardo and a big back loop from Jonas. This final will go right to the wire. Ricardo makes a perfect Swayze, the move everyone wants to see. And Jonas finishes a brilliant final with another forward, and it's a tough call for the judges.
The winner is Ricardo Campero.
I feel so good. I'm gonna right now. I'm gonna call my mom and say that she's gonna be screaming.
The women's decision is also close, but Karen Yagi from Switzerland stops Daida's winning streak.
I knew if she sailed well that would be very, very hard to beat her. The only way kind of to beat her is make her nervous, so you have to go for the big move right in front of her right in the beginning, and I pulled off pretty okay shove it, and I think maybe I couldn't see what she was doing, but definitely she was getting nervous at some stage.
With the results of all three finals added together, Matt Pritchard from the USA takes the top spot and the prize money with the most consistent results. Nick Baker takes second and Ricardo Campello takes third. With 2 out of 3 wins in Gran Canaria, Daida takes first place, staking a serious claim for the world title. A spectacular awards ceremony at the Gloria Palace Hotel sees Daida take the honours in front of an ecstatic home crowd. And a popular winner in the men's competition, Matt Pritchard, adds this important victory to his list of career wins.
Oh, I'm super stoked to have won that one. You know, Gran Canaria was the first real event on the calendar, and the big money, the big points, and I was stoked to pull off the win.
I'm really happy about the first place in freestyle, and we had a really great week and really great conditions. And as I say, I'm sailing my home spot, and I really tried my best, and I'm really stoked about the result.